Welcome to All Things Financial with Jack Driscoll. Each week, Jack takes on all things you thought were hard to understand about your finances and makes it fun, easy, but most of all interesting. From insurance to the best way to save your money and squeeze the most out of the dollars you put aside for your rainy day. And now, you have a friend in the money business. Here's your host, Jack Driscoll.
Welcome back again, everyone, to another edition of All Things Financial. Again, I have a local financial planning and insurance brokerage firm on South Park Road in Bethel Park. And what I did was I wanted to come out and share in this show different things that I run across in my practice that I thought might help a lot of you viewers also and listeners on the radio. So today, what I wanted to do is continue a little bit with what I left off with last week. I was starting last week to talk about, first off, why we're so concerned as a general population if we have any money saved or invested in what's going on with the stock market. And we sometimes get so focused on that, we forget to take the opportunity to look at what's within our control. So what we're doing is worrying all about all these other things that are happening all over the world, and we're not worrying about things that we can control that have an even greater effect on our own financial future. For example, the question I would ask is, yeah, but are you saving enough or taking enough out of each paycheck, setting it aside for your own future? Well, nobody wants to hear that because that's painful. We'd rather talk about what's going on in the world. And I come back and say, wait a minute, the things that are within your control your destiny more than most things that are happening outside of your world that you don't have control over. So the issue that we're looking at is, if you want to try to predict your future, make it easy on yourself and create it yourself. What that means is you look in advance, and this is the process that we call financial planning. Some refer to it as life planning as it relates to your finances. What we're doing is we're looking ahead at what we want things to look like, and we're helping you as a profession to try to do that. And then we look and see, where are we now? Where are we trying to get to over the next 10 or 20 or 30 years? And what if we keep doing the same things we're doing now, will it most likely lead us there? And then if we identify that that is not the case, we try to identify what changes would we need to make now, and then by habit continue, and then lead us down to a different road. And is that within our control? Well, folks, I just explained the process of financial planning. And it starts with, are you saving enough out of what you make every pay? Well, the answer for all of you listening as a rule is no. Might not be saving any of it. Why? Sometimes it's with lack of having a plan, or didn't have any better reason to, or no one's shown us how. So the process of financial planning gets us to stop in our busy lives, raising our kids, doing all the things we're doing, working all the time. Stop in little slivers of time, in appointments or our private time, and saying, where are we trying to go? And we're not saving anything out of our pay. And if we look at it, we might find out we could actually afford to do without. If I got $1,000 in a pay, I could probably afford to set aside $50 and not miss it every pay. Or 10%, $100. I might be able to live on the $900, you might say. So that sometimes is a revelation. And you say, you know what though? That sounds so small of an amount, so insignificant. What impact could that possibly have on improving my future? But folks, when you do the math with help and we calculate a restructured plan of you helping save for yourself and your own future, what you run into is the concept of compounding is no different than you take a seed and you say, what's the difference if I throw this seed away? Well, for us in financial planning, a seed is $1. So you take the seed and you say, this seed is insignificant. But if you plant the seed, or let's say in this case, an acorn, you wait and nothing happens. So you give up. And that's what happens in financial planning. We set aside seeds or dollars for a while. We don't see any significant impact. And we go upon our lives. We see this new widescreen TV we want or the new cell phone, and it's, well, that's it. That seems to be a higher value to us. There goes the financial plan. But meanwhile, that acorn that was buried in the ground takes a long time before anyone notices, hey, something's happening. There's a sprout and there's a tree, and in long periods of time, it grows into an oak tree. And what does that oak tree then yield? Many more acorns, and that's its harvest. So you say, we turned that one seed into multiple seeds. Folks, that's the same in financial planning. We're turning $1 when we plant dollars for the future into multiple dollars by not having spent that $1 when we first received it. That is the key. We didn't eat the seed. We've also seen the analogy of people say a dollar is a worker. And for every dollar that we put in investments, we're actually putting it to work, and we're hiring workers. Our workers are having offspring, and those offspring are becoming workers, and they multiply. Both those concepts apply. And back to the oak tree's next year's harvest is through all its acorns, and all of those plant. And if you give it enough time and harvest that with enough sunlight and enough water, you end up having a forest. In dollars, if you have 30 years, let's say, before you're retiring, or even 20, you'll see that as maybe creating a whole financial plan that can help take care of you in your future. So don't see it as the $1, as the one seed, and what impact can that make? Because it can be huge over a long enough period of time. What I want all of you to do is sit and think about this. If you have any interest in this, you need to get to a certified financial planner. You need to get to someone who understands many components of life planning and help you put together a plan for yourselves. But that's the process, I think, rather than paying attention to the news, I think, is to pay attention to yourself and your own habits. And by changing small habits over a long period of time can have huge and bountiful potential results for yourself that you never otherwise would have had. So that's what I wanted to share with you first. What is this whole process of financial planning? You know, when we get into this concept, I look at many different things, and I'll give you some examples. The first step in most people's lives when they start is either in their 401k plan or by starting on their own with maybe a financial advisor, might be in mutual funds. So those are the two that we normally see people saying, how do I start? And the answer to that is many times, get to a professional. Don't try to do this yourself. And I'll share that with you. You can do all of what I say yourself. Just like I could fix my car myself, but I'll probably crash it into a tree because the brakes will fail because I forgot something. So to me, some risks are not worth taking on by yourself. And this seems to be one of them, in my opinion. So I would consult a personally, I would say a certified financial planner, because you're helping yourself find someone who's well-versed and skilled and trained in a multitude of areas in finances. And then you go to them and you ask, how can I start a plan? I'm not saving anything. And the financial planner might be able to help share with you what I just did. Can you carve out $25 a pay or $100 or $50 or whatever? And sometimes you'll say, we can start something. And we can start small. So a lot of times the people ask me the questions, but I can't afford a financial planner. How do I know if I need a financial planner? How much are they? How expensive are they? I don't know that I need one yet. I don't have any money, you know, those kind of questions. So I'll share this with you. I thought back even on my own career, and back in the 70s and 80s, I realized this same answer, because I kept thinking the same thing. I am a financial planner, in fact, a certified financial planner, and people are asking, I can't afford you, or how can I afford you? And I realized something. Most people can get access to some element of financial counseling simply by contacting a financial planner to help with beginning investment decisions, beginning life planning decisions, beginning life insurance for your kids, for college education funding, all those elementary needs that are quite important, but you need some guidance on. So you go to a certified financial planner and they start you on a small investing program. Every financial planner is different. Some charge fees, some don't. There are commissions on some mutual funds. Some are no-load mutual funds. You can get into all this with the financial planners. But it's possible in some cases that a financial planner says, you know, for the $25 a month or the $100 a month or whatever that you start with us, they'll say for the mutual fund program, the mutual fund charges a load, an upfront load, and you'll ask them about this. And sometimes the upfront load is maybe 5% of what you're investing every month, let's pretend. You'll ask the financial planners and they'll tell you in detail. But as an example, if that's the case, of every $100 you're investing every month in that example, it's costing you $5 to have this program through a financial advisor because they're choosing load funds, let's say. So when you do that, the financial planner might receive $4 out of that $5. So every month, there's your cost with that financial planner if they're not charging you additional fees. You go home after that plan you started and you say, you know, I have a financial planner who said he or she can be called for life insurance decisions or tax issues or tax questions or college funding or financial aid and all these other areas. Do we need wills? They'll guide you to attorneys or help let you at least know that you need a will and things like that. No financial planners typically can act on that. They're not legal professionals, they're financial professionals. But the overall guidance and helping guide you through your life, all for the cost of that, what? $4 a month or $5 a month that you've now engaged someone on your financial team. So inquire about this, folks. It's my position that every one of you can afford a financial planner. If you shop enough and find out how fees are charged and find one that fits your budget and suits your needs, that everyone should have a financial planner. And I think one of the biggest reasons most people are not using financial planners are they fear I can't afford one, or they'll laugh at me because I have no money, or I'm just starting, or I can't afford to save much. Nothing can be further from the truth. Everyone in the financial planning community is in it to help other people. So you interview, you go through multiple financial planners, you interview them. You find out which ones are trying to sell something to you versus which ones are trying to help you. And then you find out about the fees and costs, and lo and behold, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. You've been able to afford one all along and have lived your lives without one with no benefit. So I'll give you a couple examples sometimes of what we run into in either our training or in our experiences that are an example of what you're missing out on. One of them is, I was at training last week. So I've been in business almost 40 years and I'm still in training. I was in training in Harrisburg and it was for different areas. And one of the areas that was brought up was, and I'm learning things new all the time, folks, and I won't pretend that I'm not. So I learned something last week. All the business owners I deal with, I look at them and in their businesses, they'll normally, for those of you business owners watching, pay attention to this, you'll exclude yourselves as a rule because your insurance agent will tell you to. They'll tell you the workers' compensation, you can, as an owner or an officer, exclude yourself from coverage and save money because the employer or the owner or the officers are not required to be covered on the workers' compensation, and you have health insurance anyway and disability income coverage anyway. Well, I'm here to share with you, hey, business owners, most of you do not have disability coverage, and I know that. Some of you do, but before you make the decision to elect out of workers' compensation coverage, you better look and see if you're hurt at work or at home. Do you have disability income protection? Because if you don't, Workers' compensation insurance provides that if you're hurt at work or a work-related injury, and that could be the cheapest form of protection to help keep you paying your mortgage that you could find. So don't be so quick to exclude yourself. Secondly, I learned in this course last week, they said, you know, these owners who are excluding themselves from workers' comp because their hospitalization covers them and they have disability income. Well, they gave the example of one business owner who hospitalization coverage excluded occupational illness. Oh my goodness. And it bankrupted that owner because he was excluded from his workers' compensation by choice. And here, when he had an occupational injury or illness, his hospitalization excluded all of his bills. He had multiple $1-million bills due to his injury from work. And folks, don't take this lightly. An office worker who's in a car accident related to business is an occupational injury. And if you're paralyzed for life, you're in the car, you think your car insurance will pay, you think your health insurance will pay, this course taught us in some cases neither will pay because it was work related. And this fella lost his business, lost his house, totally went bankrupt. So I, as a financial planner, now I'm equipped with information I didn't even have 2 weeks ago. So when you don't have a financial planner, you don't have someone on your team who is being trained full-time in all the areas of finance that you yourselves as individuals and business owners have to deal with. It's nice to have someone like me on your team, folks, and it's not as expensive as you think. Here's another example. I ran into a case a couple years ago where on a tax return, we were doing a tax return, and the issue on the tax return was this person used to work for a company, and the company stock went way down in value. It went down to about $2 a share from about $30 or $40 a share. Well, this employee had picked up shares all along his working years. So he had accumulated all these shares at around $30 to $32 a share. And then when the financial collapse hit in 07, 08, and 09, those shares broke to $2, but they didn't go to zero. So what he's doing, many of you know, you can declare losses on your income tax return up to as much as you have in capital gains, or if you have no offsetting capital gains, you can declare losses up to $3,000 a year against your ordinary income. Well, he had about $130,000 of losses. At $3,000, and he's 70 years old. At $3,000 a year, it's going to take a long time to claim all of those losses. So I shared something with him that I'll share with all of you to give you an example of, yeah, having a financial planner is more comprehensive than you think. This area in his case was the loss that he was limited to $3,000 a year. I told him, do you realize there's a provision in the tax code called step up in cost basis at death? The problem is this. Most people who buy shares of stock at $2 a share and it grew to $30 a share, they don't want to sell the shares in their aging years because they'll owe so much in capital gains tax. So they're afraid to sell their highly appreciated stocks they've held by working for a company for 30 or 40 years. So they have a lot of capital appreciation. And we have a little known provision in the tax code that says if they hold those shares until death and their heirs inherit those shares, they don't owe any tax on all that growth or capital appreciation because of a step up in cost basis. The parents' cost basis or grandparents was $2 a share and it grew to $30. But their original basis was $2. In life, that person owed tax on all of the gains if they sold. But in death, there's a step up in cost basis in today's tax code, wiping out that and giving the basis of the shares at $30 or $32 to the heirs. But I said I had the reverse case. I had someone who paid $32 and the shares went down to $2. This step up in basis, folks, can hurt, in fact, devastate this situation, because in reverse, it's a reset of cost basis, a step up in cost basis. When that person dies, though, in this case, the basis is redesigned down to $2 for the heirs. So the parent in this case paid the reverse, paid $30, it's only worth $2. During life, the parent, the 70-year-old, can deduct losses. I paid $30, it's only worth $2, I get to deduct the losses. But at death, the cost basis on all the remaining shares that his kids inherit is reverted to $2, and they have nothing more to depreciate or deduct. So what I told him was, I want you to consider gifting those shares. Don't wait till death. Gift those shares. That transfers the cost basis of $30 to your kids that the government can't take away in death. Do you get that? So we preserved the high cost basis. So when you die, the kids inherit your cost basis, not just the shares, and they get to enjoy the deduction of $3,000 loss on all those remaining $100,000 worth of shares. Well, the tax savings on that, folks, I just saved those kids about $20,000 in taxes against their other ordinary income. Now, isn't that a huge potential benefit? I never know I'm running into cases like that. When you have a financial planner and you go to them on your annual reviews and you're reviewing all of your circumstances every year, things like this pop up, and bingo, there's your value. So you'll find out, and I wanted to share with you in the show, there are many opportunities. For those of you who have company shares right now that you're accumulating inside your 401k plans, I want you to ask all of your financial planners, and if you don't have one, I want you to consider hiring one, and then I want you to ask them, I heard on the TV about net unrealized appreciation, and I won't teach you on the show what that means because it's too complex for right now, but it's in line with what I just said. It's a little different. And I want you to say, if I have any shares in my company, in my 401k that I'm contributing to, or that are being given to me by my employer, do I need to know about net unrealized appreciation either now or when I retire? And get that ball rolling. You'll be surprised at the answer. All right, folks, we're out of time. I appreciate your tuning in to another edition of All Things Financial. I hope this helps, and I'll be back next week.
You've been listening to All Things Financial with your friend with the answers to all financial matters, Jack Driscoll of Driscoll Insurance and Financial Services. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Sage Point Financial Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and registered investment advisor and member FINRA and SIPC. Driscoll Insurance and Financial Services is not affiliated with Sage Point Financial, Inc. or registered as a broker, dealer, or investment advisor. You can reach Driscoll Insurance and Financial Services Incorporated at 412-833-1500, and they are located at 2738 South Park Road, Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, 15102.